YouTube, what the crap's going on? Welcome back to Medieval 2 Total War, where the noob of Carthage, as I would be known in this game because I've played it so very little. And I'm going to take you into another battle that I played here recently, so this will be my second battle recently. I've played more than that in total on Medieval 2. So I got a few tips in the last one, but I don't know that'll help me just yet. I'm probably going to have to learn the hard way. I put it on, this is going to be a high period battle between myself as France, and my opponent will be representing the Byzantine Empire. Basically the leftover of the Eastern Romans, but he won't have access to Tagmata Cav. Yeah, let's take a look at my, my French army here. I've got 4 crossbowmen. No idea how crossbowmen perform in this game. I know Pavis crossbowmen are okay-ish, but no idea how the regular crossbowmen will perform. Behind them, I have a line of 8 dismounted chivalric knights. France didn't have a lot of infantry options for me in the high period. It was like basically armored sergeants or the dismounted chivalric knights. By the time you start picking more than 4 of one unit type in Medieval 2, it charges you a redonkulous amount more. But I basically still ended up with a full stack army here, so I was like, well, maybe it works out alright. This is the best infantry I have, and I have enough money to get it. I upgraded some of my cavalry. I've got 2 noble knights, and I'm going to have 2 chivalric knights, and then my general is here and a noble knight. So the rules that we set in this game between my opponent and I was max of 5 cav. Otherwise, it's just no elephants or horse archers, I think. So he starts the battle right here, which was pretty cool deployment. He deployed to probably try and catch me off guard. So he's got 4 Byzantine guard archers, which I'm assuming have nice armor and stuff, and good range and everything. I don't know much about them. I'd have to actually go look into them. Here he's got 3 dismounted Byzantine lancers. Not really sure what the stats are on these guys. Behind them, he's got looks like 3 units of Varangian Guard, and then behind them 4 units of dismounted Latin Con. And then his cavalry consist of 5 Latin Con heavy cavalry, and his general, I believe, is in one of those units. I don't know exactly which one his general is in. Right here. Actually, he's just in a general's bodyguard for the Byzantines. So there's the bodyguard. Very cool looking unit. Like, kind of very, very sweet looking unit. Anyway, I'm going to move up my crossbow. Now, I'm actually assuming that I'm going to lose this range fight pretty badly after I see his guard archers. I brought the crossbowmen because it says they're good against armor, but we'll see how they perform. You can see his guard archers have a nice little shield there and decent looking, like, leatherish and mail armor. So I'm guessing these guys are going to get the better of me, and sure enough, they're already getting some nice kills on my crossbowmen. So, kind of sucks for me. This looks like the fight's not going to go so well for me in the missile department. And then my opponent has a grand total of 10 infantry versus my, I think, 8. So I'm outnumbered. Well, no, because I have these 3 armored sergeants. So I outnumber him by 1 with infantry, but overall his infantry is going to do very well versus mine. I've heard that 2-handed units don't do great, but if I remember right, these Varangian Guard are still decent units. I could be wrong, though, but they're a 2-handed axe-wielding unit with nice attack, whereas his dismounted Byzantine Lancers and Latin Con look like they're just kind of a nice unit that's going to be similar, probably in stats, to my dismounted Chivalric Knights. I could be wrong, though. So I'm going to bring my Chivalric Knights into combat with his dismounted Byzantine Lancers. We'll see how I do here in this combat. I have no idea who's going to win it, but I get a slight downhill. And I'm going to be bunched up 2-to-1 on some of his men, so I'm hoping that goes okay-ish for me. He's keeping Varangian Guard and other infantry units in reserve, which is a smart move. And then I get a nice charge against his Latin Con over here with my Chivalric Knights and Noble Knights. And it looks like it's actually a pretty even fight at the moment. I didn't know what to expect out of Latin Con, but it's performing quite nicely in general. I'm going to reinforce with some dismounted Chivalric Knights, which is going to bring my opponent, or force my opponent to throw in some Latin Con. And then I've got my armored sergeants over here that are helping in the cav fight against some dismounted Latin Con, and they were damaged pretty badly, but he's going to, or some mounted Latin Con that we're chasing off there. He's going to reinforce with some dismounted Latin Con who will easily mop up what's left of my armored sergeants. I do have a cav unit free, but my opponent also has some here. I'm chasing him back with my spearmen. And let's see what's going on over here. So my noble knights doing okay-ish in this fight, but not great. His bodyguard's going to be in trouble probably, I think, versus my noble knights, just by numbers. But his cavalry is outperforming mine in general. My crossbowmen, I've noticed, fire extremely slow, and they're not really causing the type of damage that I want, so not real impressed with these crossbow units. These are certainly not the Pavis crossbowmen that I've used before. while his guard archers have been laying down a lot of fire on my men. Right here, I'm trying to get through this small gap, but it wasn't quite big enough, so only a few of my lancers get through and get into his guard archers, who I'm trying to silence. But he's got a lot more guard archers right behind his infantry.
Our men have slain the enemy general.
Fortunately for me, the enemy general dies pretty early, and I was hoping to get some chain routes going. But right here, he's actually getting around some of my units with some dismounted Latin con, and he's reinforced his Byzantine lancers in a few spots with Varangian guard, I think. Yeah, like right here. So the infantry fight's not looking too great for me either. My dismounted chivalric knights are struggling. And over here, one of them routs, and now he's going to be able to start wrapping me up pretty hard with 2 dismounted Latin con. And I have no cavalry back there, and my crossbows aren't really in a good position to fire at them. If my crossbows had been here, I might have been able to help, but now I just lost another dismounted chivalric knight, and this is going to start being very bad for me here. Very bad. Certain fights are going okay-ish for me, but they're very Pyrrhic. My fight against his Latin con has swung in my favor, and his general died, but I'm going to have so much of my cavalry over here dead that it's unlikely they're going to be able to swing the tide of what my opponent has done in the infantry fight. So this is very much not Attila. Cavalry is very good, but my opponent having infantry left like this is going to be good. I get a nice rear charge here with these chivalric knights, but it's not enough to break his Varangian guard. Unfortunately, I really needed an infantry break, and I'm getting shot by archers still, and I keep cycle charging back into these guard archers, and they just keep surviving it,
Only half of our force
which is
remains.
getting annoying. His archers have been pretty sturdy, and then his cavalry units get free and pin down my chivalric knights, which means my hope of getting any chain routes over here is
Only
over,
half the enemy force
and my men are
remains.
being wrapped up quite quickly, and my crossbows are able to do very little about it. They're just still, again, firing very slow. I really should have just brought archers. But again, I don't know how they would have done. I think the Byzantines field some very nice archers. Comes my regrouped chivalric knights into his dismounted Latin con, which these guys seem to be better than whatever I'm fielding. His Latin con cavalry seemed to die against my own cavalry, but it was still not bad in general. Again, I don't really know which unit's better, but you can see here my guys are in a full infantry route. And I'm going to do everything left in my power to do well here. My armored sergeants, of course, all getting murdered by this dismounted Latin con, who's doing extremely well in this fight. You can see them going after my armored sergeants here in a very confident fashion. And the Latin con over here finishing off my cavalry, which means my opponent's going to get away with cavalry left. We can go ahead and fast forward just to kind of show you what happens.
Our general lies slain upon the battlefield.
So my French general dies. My crossbows, I'm going to try and be annoying. I have a little bit of cavalry that got free. But once I start getting a closer look, I realize that there's really no hope for my crossbowmen. Even though they have a ton of ammo to pull this off, my opponent has guard archers left, feasibly with quite a bit of ammo, and he has a lot of infantry left as well. So kudos to my opponent here. He's played a better game. Even from a disadvantageous position, apparently he chose better units, and he started to outflank me a little quicker. I counted too much on my cavalry being able to break through his lines, and the spearmen that I brought ended up being worthless. I should have brought probably, I don't know what I should have brought. I didn't like my options with France as far as the high period battle. And I'll show you what they had available and just kind of see what you all think afterwards. But like I said, I'm just going to fast forward this to the end. I let my crossbowmen kill as many men as they can. I like to fight to the end, but I'm not going to make him chase me like all over the map. This is as far away as I'm going to run. So my guys will make their stand here, and I'll do what I can against his Byzantine guard archers.
Long and I pray something changes in the course of battle.
But yeah, as soon as he gets these Latin con cav in, the battle is over, and there he goes. So my guys go ahead. Well, actually, we routed the Latin con cav, and then my guys chain route, I think. Or no, his infantry's coming in, and I decided to do one last YOLO charge against his infantry. So that is going to be it. So, very nice game to my opponent. It was a fun one. Hopefully I keep getting to learn here a little more about this game. So, good job, Slavan TR. Let's see, total kills, I got 1045, he got 1309. I deployed more men than him, though, so that was well played by him. Let's go take a look real quick at the French armies in a custom battle and see what my options may have been. So, if we just hit next, and then I pick France, and I don't know if we get to pick a period. That was probably on the last screen. Level period, yeah. So I played a high period, not a late period. I probably should have done late period, but I don't know what France is particularly good at. It says relatively weak infantry in early period. It's not early period, but high period. This is what I had access to. And as you can see, my only real option for infantry was the dismounted chivalric knights, which I think puts me at a disadvantage here versus the Byzantines. A decent unit, but my only other option are these armored sergeants, which are not such a decent unit. And the more of these guys I buy, you can see the more expensive. So they're 610 florins until you go to buy your 5th one, and then it goes to 760, 910, 1060. So you can see if I had 8 of these guys that the cost of them became exorbitant. And that's where a lot of my my money went. So, hailing from Flanders. Man, I should have tried some of these pikemen. I didn't realize these guys were here, those Flemish pikemen. Might have been able to use them to try and hold a front line for a while. So that would have probably been a better idea. I don't know. Tell me what pikemen are good for, if anything, in Medieval 2. I'd be curious to know. And I think I chose my cavalry just fine as well. I don't think that these mailed knights would have been the right choice, because my good knights here barely had time to make up for things. So let's take a look at the Byzantines real quick, so you can kind of get an idea what my opponent had to choose from in the high period. Definitely having more options here. So my chivalric knights were certainly better than Byzantine infantry, but he didn't bring any. A little bit better than his Byzantine dismounted lancers. Probably gonna get wasted by his Varangian guards, and even match basically with his dismounted Latin con. And then let's see, where's his here's his Latin con here, and he also had access to cataphractoi, which I've been told aren't any good. And they make a good point. They don't seem like they're a whole lot better than anything else. So General's Bodyguard. So yeah, he brought his Latin con, and these guys statistically seem quite a bit worse than what I brought, so I'm not sure how they performed that well in that battle. If anybody knows a little more about this Latin con, let me know why they seem to perform well against my cav. I did win in the head-to-head engagement, so maybe they did what they were supposed to do. Byzantines would have also had access to nice horse archers, but my opponent chose not to use them. The guard archers right here with the missile attack of 9. Oh, this is why they weren't dying quickly to my cavalry. They have 16 defense and decent armor. Yeah, and 11 attacks, so the guard archers are actually somewhat capable in a melee. Anyway, nice pick of the Byzantines there. I think they actually had better offerings for sure in that time period than France. And I wonder what France looks like in the late period, just out of curiosity real quick. So if we get into late period, I get access. So I've still got dismounted chivalric knights, but I've also got Volgier. Can form a spear. Well, they don't seem very good. It says they're effective against armor with a combat bonus in woods or snow, but they're not looking real great. So it looks like infantry is going to be a struggle for France. What do you got here? Pikemen. Again, not sure what pikemen are good for. I'd have to see them in combat to see if they're any good. But late games, you got this General's Bodyguard that's looking pretty slick. And then, of course, you got these Lancers, which I don't know if they're a great cav or not. 13, 17. It still seems like chivalric knights perform better. So what do we got here? Gendarmes, I guess. I don't know how to say that. Gendarmes. Can form wedge, good morale, very well armored, powerful charge, good stamina. Yeah, I don't know how these cavalry stack up, but it's a cool name. Gendarmes. Gendarmes, is that how you say it? Gendarmes? I don't know. I can't speak French. Wish I could speak a lot of different languages, but I can't. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now. I will, of course, be back soon. Next time it'll be with some Rome Total War. It's going to be like, we haven't seen any Napoleon yet. I'm getting some ready for you. And Rome 2, of course, we did in a live stream, so you all got to see some of that. See you soon.